Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting will have to be given by transmission to Star Lebanon and Super Times for the closing of the Middletown Township Municipal Building and filing with the Township Clerk all on January 10, 2019. Committeeman Hybel. Committeeman Sedambrino.
Here.
Committeewoman Snow. Here. Deputy Mayor Fiore. Mayor Perry.
Here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to ask for a moment of silence to honor the troops serving worldwide defending our constitutions, freedoms, and way of life. Our first item on tonight's agenda, we have a public hearing on Ordinance 2019-3244, the 2019 management salary ordinance.
Any member of the public wishing to speak on ordinance number 2019-3244? Seeing no member of the public wishing to speak on ordinance 2019-3244, I move to adopt.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow. Yes. Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt this ordinance on second and final reading. Our next ordinance for introduction tonight, 2019-3245, a bond ordinance reappropriating $18,000 in proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purpose for the acquisition of radar units by the Township of Middletown, New Jersey.
Motion to introduce. Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on first reading with a public hearing to be held February 20th, 2019. The next ordinance for introduction, 2019-3246, an ordinance providing funding for sidewalk improvements for the Township of Middletown appropriating $395,000 for such purpose.
Motion to introduce. Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on first reading with a public hearing to be held February 20th, 2019. And our final ordinance for introduction, 2019-3247, an ordinance amending recreation fees for summer recreation camp and gymnasium rentals.
Motion to introduce. Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on first reading with a public hearing to be held February 20th, 2019. At this time, I'd like to ask the Township Committee if you prefer to adopt the consent agenda, which would include resolutions 19-81 through 19-87.
Motion to approve consent agenda. Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt consent agenda. At this time, we have the Township Committee acting as the ABC issuing authority. We have Resolution 19-88, a resolution authorizing renewal of liquor license with special ruling for the 2018-19 license term 1331-44-008.
Motion to approve. Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt Resolution 19-88. This time we have Resolution 19-89, a resolution authorizing renewal of liquor license pursuant to NJSA 32:12-18 for a license 1331-44-033.
Motion to approve. Second.
Committeeman Hybel.
Yes.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt Resolution 19-89. On our agenda for February 20th, we'll have certificates of appreciation and proclamation, approval of minutes, public hearing on proposed ordinances from tonight, and possible introduction of proposed ordinances, and a consent agenda. For tonight's discussion items, first item, we have recreation fees for the Middletown preschool tuition recreation refund policy.
Jen?
Is anything in your package?
Okay, I have extras if you need it. Okay. So starting with the two, there's two of them, starting with a little bit less complicated one is regarding our refund policies. Something that came up kind of recently, we were talking about it, that when we plan programs, people can come in and get a refund for request a refund at any time and only get charged a $5 processing fee. The trouble that happens with that is when we work with an outside contractor, an outside vendor, we get charged per person. And sometimes there's a point that we're not able to get our money back. So even if someone comes in and says, hey, I can't go to the event, I'm still getting charged for that person. So in order to kind of get around that, or to kind of factor that in, what I'm suggesting is, number one, to increase the refund processing fee from $5 to $10. And then setting up guidelines as to a timeline as to when a refund would be granted and how much that would be. So, for example, if someone requests a refund 14 days out or more than 14 days out, we give them a full refund, no questions asked, minus the $10 processing fee. If it's between 7 and 13 days, they would be given a 50% refund. Again, less the $10 processing fee. And then anything between 7 days and the start of the program, they would not be eligible at all for a refund at all. The other part to that too would be for summer camps. Because of so much that goes into the planning for summer camps, we're talking about staff, talking about supplies, everything with that, I put in here that after May 15th, there would be no refunds available for that.
Even May 15th, sorry.
After May 15th, yes, after May 15th.
When are we starting?
For summer camps?
Yes.
We start, it depends on how July 4th falls. This current year, we start the week after July 1st. Next year, July 4th should be on a Friday, so we will do a shortened camp the first week of July. So either the first or second week of July, just depends on how the calendar works.
And we'll adjust that timeline.
I put in to leave it for May 15th every year,
Okay.
just to kind of a standard date each year. But that helps us because at that point we're still finalizing our staff, so we'll be able to know how many kids are registered. So basically, if someone comes in and registers for all the weeks, and then say June 1st, multiple people say, I can't do it, or I changed my mind, or I thought I better camp for other cases. Now theoretically, I may have hired too much staff, so then I have to go back and tell them, I don't have enough hours for you, or make the cuts that accordingly.
What's the policy now?
For right now, they can get a refund kind of whenever they want to.
Good plan.
Okay. Any other questions for Janet?
Okay. So the second part of this has to do with our preschool, formerly just for toddlers. And our preschool traditionally has been a co-op. So it started. I'm sorry, I don't actually know the date, but over 20 years ago, probably much longer than that. Where parents would come in, get together, the kids would kind of play together, and have a little something to do, a little orientations for their children. It's progressed a lot along since then, quite substantially. And 2 years ago, we hired our first early elementary education certified teacher. So that's been huge. We also put money into the building through CDBG money a couple years ago, and we've upgraded the building. We've given it quite the facelift, and it looks great. We just hired this past fall. We hired our second certified teacher. So our program is, skyrocketing as far as that goes. But in order to stay competitive and in order to help meet some of the demands, part of our program has only been a half-day program. And unfortunately, people need more than just a half-day option for childcare. So what I'm proposing now, after surveying around other schools in the area, I'm proposing to go from the half-day to a full day. Still have the half-day option, so those parents that we already have, they're not going to lose out. If they still only want a half-day, that's absolutely fine. But I want to be able to add that full-day option, as well as before care or after care, to help meet the growing demands of the public. So with that being said, there is a chart that's on there, but I am proposing to go pretty much similar or in line with Atlantic Highlands Board of Ed. So I can rattle these all off to you. They might think, no? Okay, fair enough. So that's the nuts and bolts of it, is we're trying to go from just simply a half day to be able to go from a half day to a full day. still have the half-day option or the full-day option, and then also wrap around before care and after care.
I think you're gonna be full up pretty quickly.
That's what we all hope that the way it turns out.
Definitely hoping that.
And we'll still be, you know, equal to or lower than anyone around here that we've surveyed by far.
I think that's a huge benefit to the community.
Yeah, one of the things we started doing with the preschool program too is a preschool fair. We run it at the library. Unfortunately, it happens to be the next township committee meeting. It's the only day the library had. But we invite other surrounding preschools into the library to help parents survey and go table to table to kind of get the best things from every group. So.
Any questions for Jen?
So we'll have that ordinance coming up.
Yes.
For what we just discussed, probably the next meeting for introduction.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
The next item, we have resolution authorizing cancellation of the community development mortgage. Cancellation. And then we have the recreation bus trip bid. And Center Avenue Leonardo speed limit.
So where we're at with that is that the police department are conducting a speed survey, which is kind of a required component of changing the speed limit on a road. So they have speed monitors out there. They'll put them in a couple different locations. And there's some criteria that you have to satisfy in order to adjust the speed limit down. We're hoping to be able to go from 35 down to 25 for Center Avenue. So
25 gets posted, right?
it will get posted if we meet the requirements, yes. And we're pretty sure we will, but you have to go through the process to do that. So the counters are out there now, monitoring speeds.
Okay.
And we have changes to the township ordinance for public works and engineering fees.
This is kind of in line with what Janet was asking. We're asking for some changes to the ordinance. Should be in your packets. I don't know if you need the printouts or not. Essentially, we haven't changed any of our fees at the recycling center or our grading plan review fees, and some other brush drop off, that kind of thing. Sidewalk fees for developers who have the option of not installing sidewalks and instead contributing to the fund. So we went through, we analyzed, we looked at some other towns, we looked at what our costs are, what our revenue is bringing in to public works and engineering, and what our fees are to have consultants review some of our grading plans and our other site plans that come into our office. And we're just making some slight adjustment to the fees.
When's the last time we changed?
I think it was 10 years ago, probably, the engineering fees at least, and recycling was probably maybe 9.
And that was, we just started collecting. That was the first time we ever started collecting. It was 10 years ago. For the grade, not all of it, for grading plans and escrow fees.
Right.
We never even collected them at all before that.
So this is obviously the first time we've adjusted that.
Yeah.
Right. The sidewalk contribution fund is for when a developer comes into the board, the planning board or the zoning board, and is required by ordinance to install sidewalks on their, in front of the subdivision. But for some reason they can't do it. They used to have to pay $250 per lot, which is essentially nothing compared to what it would cost to put sidewalks in. So what we did was we went to the actual price to construct the sidewalk per our recent construction bids. So now, whatever the square yard of sidewalk is required, they'll pay that amount, which is actually fair.
Based on frontage, based on lot.
Right, right.
And Ted, in certain circumstances, the reason that this fund exists is because there are certain places that sidewalks would connect to nothing,
Right.
basically, in all honesty, so
There could be
there would be
environmental
no.
constraints, there could be wetlands, things like that.
Excessive grading.
There's still a sidewalk requirement.
Right.
Right.
Well, as you saw from the thing we acted on earlier, we have a sidewalk fund, that's exactly why we have that, so that when we have big road projects that include a lot of sidewalk work, we have a fund specifically available for that.
So a lot of these fees are for residents who are submitting, bringing items in for recycling or having picked up curbside, refrigerators and tires and things like that. Slight increases on some of them. One item is the raising of the fees for commercial drop-off of brush at Kings Lane, which is an issue that we have, both because we're limited with space and because our prices were way underpriced for other areas. A lot of contractors were bringing brush into Kings Lane. It's supposed to only be from Middletown. We know they could be coming from other towns. We really have no other way of proving that. So we're bringing our prices up at least to be at or above what a commercial location would charge. Somewhere like Mazda or some other tree services will take brush in.
It's only from non-residential contributors, right?
Non-resident, well, it's, yeah, right, commercial, landscapers and other vendors.
Okay. Any other questions for Ted? Thank you, Ted. Anyone Snell?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I was happy to attend the thank you dinner for the Coast Guard, which was done at the VFW. And what amazed me by being there, speaking to them, they're not angry, they're not disappointed, they're not tired. They told me they just do their job. So I think kudos to the Coast Guard for probably having a better sense of right and wrong than most people in government agencies these days. So I was thrilled to talk to them. They're all young, they have families, and it amazes me how they can go for a month without any money coming in, but they did. And they're happy to start getting paid now. So hopefully the pay will still coming and they won't have another problem. But they were delightful and I was happy to be there. So thank you. That's it. That's all I have for today.
Thank you, Committeewoman Snow. Committeeman Hybel.
As what Pat had said, there was a nice event and there was a lot of volunteers there, so everyone did a great job. Again, I always go back to the fire department, EMS, and I know Public Works. We had this cold snap, and I know we were prepared, and we had a lot of fires the last couple of weeks. So everyone's been running around crazy. So just want to thank everyone for doing a good job. That's all I have.
Thank you, Committeeman Hybel. Committeeman Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I concur with my colleagues, Committeeman Snell and Hybel, with regard to the Coast Guard dinner. I attended as well, and it was a great event. And I will hold the remainder of my comments until next meeting.
Thank you. The only thing I will add to this, I'll save my comments. I obviously echo the comments of my fellow Township Committee members. Even though this person was not a Middletown resident, before every meeting we start off with a moment of silence for the men and women who fight for our freedoms, both at home and abroad. And Monmouth County lost a hero in private first class, Jamie Riley, and I think it's only fitting that we honor his memory and honor his service to his country. We're only as good as the people that are willing to fight for those freedoms, and Jamie Riley was the epitome of that, and he was an example of that. I was honored to stand alongside in Fairhaven yesterday and this morning as his casket passed, and he's being taken down now to Arlington National Cemetery where a hero deserves to be buried. So with that, we will open it up to public comment. Just as a reminder, please hold your comments to 5 minutes. When you're called on, just your name and address for the record, please. And with that, I will tell you at 4 minutes, when you have 1 minute left, if you could just wrap up your comments, please. Any member of the public wishing to speak? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor Perry and council members. My name is Joyce Raspa. I'm 1130 Friendship Court in Shadow Lake Village, and I'm here with 3 other members of Shadow Lake Village. Would you like them to each introduce themselves?
It actually, for the record, it can only be one at a time, but if they'd like to speak, obviously, they're more than welcome to.
I've been appointed as this spokesperson. Anything.
Well, that's greatly appreciated, so thank you.
We are here just to apprise you that we formed a committee called the Shadow Lake Village Residents Tax and Services Oversight Committee, and we're specifically looking at the agreement qualified private community service agreement, otherwise known as the municipal service agreement between the Township of Middletown and Shadow Lake Community dated December 23rd, 2010. Basically just to look at the taxes that we are paying as a group and the services that we're receiving, and to perhaps benefit the community further. So we're just letting you know, we will be approaching our board as well, and we'll be coming back, we hope, to you all to perhaps have a discussion.
Just, if I may, Mayor, just so you know, as with any qualified private community, we can only negotiate with the board's representatives. I just want to make sure that, so if they seek out to negotiate. So we did a negotiation a few years back, I remember, of the renegotiation of the agreements. It was many years old, the original one. And we're doing a lot of these right now because of a lot of the changes with the garbage and recycling services and so forth. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Shadow Lake's already got private services getting reimbursed. So that's already in the agreements there. But I just want you to understand that that we can only negotiate with the official board of the association. So I just want to make sure.
Understood completely. We just feel as if we are taxpaying citizens, and we would like our voice to be heard as living in the community, and we're certainly not going to attempt to negotiate.
I just want to make sure.
Absolutely. I'm sure the board is going to obtain their own legal counsel, and we hope to. But it is interesting that you said that the agreement had been renegotiated. May I know when that was?
5 or 6 years ago, maybe?
No, it was 2010.
2010. Time flies. I'm getting old.
That's why.
I know it's happened in the time that I've been township attorney since 2009, so it had to be within the last 10 years for sure. But yeah. So.
Yeah.
Well,
quite a while.
Before that, I think it was 20 years old before that. So
it was 10 years before that.
So every 10 years, I guess.
But why? It's in the agreement. It says annually it could be renegotiated, and we're not really,
Well, things change. Circumstances change over time, and just like for the garbage and recycling in town cause a lot of the communities to change their approach to things. So that's something that different communities, and we're going community by community as to whether people want to maintain the private services or whether they want to have the township provide those services. And it's a fact intensive, it depends on how things are set up and the certain level of service you want. Some communities
The accessibility of the streets.
Yeah, the accessibility, and there's a whole bunch of factors that go into that. So, and over time, the services that the township does and does not provide changes as well. So over time, reimbursements may change as services have become more and more difficult to provide, and times have become, and so there used to be a lot more street sweeping, for example, that went on. Well, that doesn't occur that much anymore. Only in certain circumstances is needed, and sort of things like that change over time. So sometimes the agreements need to be updated to reflect that. So.
We've never seen a street sweeper.
Yeah, well,
our paving is horrendous, and actually our administrative, what is Paul's title? Administrative agent from the community has asked for paving and has not been responded to from your agents from the town.
That's not really true. He has been responded to. We met with him actually earlier this year.
Not that long
Right.
ago.
Not that long ago. And
Right.
It's not as if this agreement was approved 8 years ago and you haven't heard from the township since then. We meet with him regularly, and we talk to Paul fairly regularly, probably every couple of months at least. And he has specific roads he wants to have paved that we still have on our list for the spring. So, I have no problem with meeting with Paul and anyone in the group that he chooses to have with him. We've done that already this year, so, I don't want to give the impression to the public or to the committee that we've given radio silence from the township's perspective, because it's not really the case. But I understand your interest in meeting more and getting more information, that's fine.
Yeah, more information, but also I understand that you did meet with Paul, we also spoke with Paul, but there are some paving that has gone unresponded to. I know that you have met and you do things and you reimburse us, we just would like to, see more of that and more responsiveness.
We're very much appreciative that you folks have come here today, introduce yourself, and look forward to any conversations that will take place in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other member of the public wishing to speak? Mr. Watson, yes, sir.
How you doing? My name's Don Watson, living at 1 Collinson Drive, and I was curious as to the impound lot that we're going to form. Is that going to be paved, or is it just going to be dirt?
Has not been decided yet. We're working on the design of that. It probably would be a combination of pavement and gravel, but
Yeah.
no final decision yet.
Okay, thank you. That's all I got, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watson.
Thank
Any other
you.
member of the public wishing to be heard? Leo, yes, sir.
Leo Christopherly, Middletown. Can you tell me as much as you can about the progress of finalizing a contract with Brandy Wine?
I'm actually going to let Mr. Nelson speak to that.
I mean, the agreements are essentially finalized, and we're just doing final due diligence, putting everything together to get ready to, and hopefully near future, to execute all those and to lock a rate soon. There's a couple things that need to happen first, though, before we can do that, so.
There was a, right, there was a legal, there was a
We had to wait
time
until
frame
actually just,
to wait, actually pass on
the
Friday.
appeal period just passed on Friday, actually, so.
Before we could move forward.
When might the signatures be signed and dated?
Hopefully within the next week.
Within the next week?
Because the interest rates are low.
Lower.
Not low enough, just lower.
Lower than 510?
Yes.
At the moment, yeah.
Last couple of years, I'm reading mainly the Asbury Park Press and the financial matters related to government, public sector, economy. Last couple of years, for sure, there's been a big concentration on state aid to public schools. There's an article today, I didn't bring it with me, I'll probably Xerox it or copy it and pass it out to
This
you.
one.
No, it's January 8th.
It has to do with Keensburg. Keensburg, well, the school board in Middletown was agreed with a state aid number in March. When the government changed, the governorship changed, gubernatorial, one big word, changed, you had the new governor and his education system take $1.7 million out of the school budget, and it was promised. They reduced cost without increasing money at the school board. They just reduced about $6 beyond the $1.7 million. And so that's one example. The current example is in Keensburg. They have about a $33 million school budget. They've already been told it will be reduced by 1/4. I think it was
8.5 million. About 8.5 million.
Yeah, 8.5 million. So those are just two examples. If that holds true, I'm wondering why the school board, I don't need this rhetorical point or question, wondering why the school board wants to shift back or forwards with this problem. My view is that this reduction of state aid under the phony phrase social justice, it's not economic justice. They wouldn't dare use the word economic justice because first Francis Perkins was put in charge of the Department of Labor, and 3 months before Social Security was passed in 1934, they changed it from economic security to social security. That's very relevant, and I read most of the book. You can find it on Francis Perkins. The solution is, and any blind man can hear it if they can't see it, this puts the pressure on the school board to do everything they can to, thank you, they can do everything they can to get property taxes increased for their school district. Well, where else can they get the aid that they're not getting from the state? unless they put up all around town car wash for paying the money that the school district claims it needs. I have a problem at last comment. I think there's 3 public sector educational unions. I think there may be 4. One of them has $78 billion in a trust fund. And I told a board member that 2 meetings ago, and she said, I'm surprised, I've never heard of it. And so, you know, when you start rolling out the big numbers, then at least momentarily, they're mind-widening.
Thank you
very much for the extra 5 seconds.
No problem, not a problem at all. And any other member of the public wishing to ask Tricia?
Hi, Tricia McGuire, 49 Foxwood Run. This is a quick process question, since Leo brought up the Brandywine agreement, and I'm learning that you'll be signing maybe in the next week. Mr. Nelson, I think maybe you can answer this. I remember something about 90 days from when we signed and making a decision about selling off the pad sites. Can you help refresh my memory? Am I right about that?
Yes, yes, so after execution, we'll have 90 days to decide
Okay.
whether to sell or lease the pad sites.
Thank you.
Any other member of the public? Seeing no other member of the public, move to close public portion and adjourn.
Second.
Committeeman Tybell. Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snow.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn.
Have a good night, everybody.
I third that motion.
Thank you, Lee.
I was like, oh my gosh.
See you later.
You're not going to change your clothes.